Hello everyone, my name is Alicia Nello, one of the librarians at the John J. Wright Library at La Roche University. Today I'm going to go over how you can evaluate internet resources for credibility. It can be tricky to know what information is genuine and what is attempting to deceive you, as there is a glut of mis- and disinformation being spread through social media sites. The information I am sharing with you today should help you in your quest to find reliable information across the web. First, I will be going over some general evaluation tips that you can use when looking for any information, not just for internet sources. I will also point out the signs that indicate an internet source is credible. These tips can help you evaluate any information you come across, and are good to keep in mind when conducting academic research. Firstly, if you can and it is appropriate for your assignment, try to locate scholarly material. Scholarly material refers to material that has been written by an expert in their field and is widely used in academic settings. Material is considered scholarly if it has been peer-reviewed and if it includes citations for any work that it references. A lot of the material that you find through the John J. Wright Library databases will fall under the umbrella of scholarly material. You also want to determine if the material is a primary or secondary resource. Who has written this material, and what is their goal in sharing the information? If it is a secondary source, how has the author researched or discovered the information they are writing about? Finally, you always want to keep the date of publication in mind. Is this information up to date or from 10 years ago? If it is an older work, does it have historical significance to your topic, or is it not worth reading? When you are looking at an internet source and trying to determine if it is credible, you can keep these indicators in mind. If a web source has all of these indicators, there is a good chance that it is a credible web resource. If it has a .gov or .edu domain extension, that indicates the type of information that will be found on the site has some informational or educational quality to it. If it includes a copyright or publication date, that is a good sign that the authors would like their readers to know how up-to-date this information is. If the information cites other resources, then it should include a bibliography or works cited. I would say that an internet source which cites other sources without a bibliography would be a red flag for its credibility. Finally, if the internet source has an association with a credible organization or publication, there is more of a chance that the information you have found will be accurate and credible. Credible organizations and publications are varied and can range from an organization such as NASA to a publication such as the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. An example that I have chosen to showcase a credible internet source is the Yellowstone National Park History webpage. This page includes all of the indicators I have mentioned, as it has a .gov in its domain name, a publication date, a works cited area, and it is associated with a credible organization, the National Park Service. I would be very confident in using the information that I have found on this webpage in an academic setting. Sadly, not all inaccurate information on the internet is just the result of lazy research. Disinformation, or false information created with the intent to mislead, has become widespread. Fake news is a type of disinformation that can spread rapidly due to its intended close resemblance to credible news sources and the ease with which it can be shared. When searching for information on current event topics, fake news can pop up frequently, and it can sometimes be difficult to see it for what it is. The following information will help you identify what is fake news and not be taken in by a story that seems credible when it is not. Some of the tips I have just mentioned will be echoed in the following information. Fake news creators rely on the fact that some readers will not look beyond the surface of an article. You are much more prepared to fight disinformation if you know what to look for and put the time into looking. The following graphics come from the infographic How to Spot Fake News from the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. IFLA is a well-known information advocacy group and is a trusted source for librarians all over the world. This infographic contains information that comes from a factcheck.org article by the same name. Consider the source. The first thing you should always do when contemplating the validity of a news item is to consider the source that it is coming from. Try to find an About Us or More Information page on the website itself to find more information about the source. Sometimes these areas of the website will tell you outright that they are a satire or false publication source. If the source you are on lacks a way to find out more information about them, you should be wary of the information you read on the site. Also, look for contact information for the website. If there is no contact information or the only contact information is a private email address, you should also be wary. Another clue to the validity of a source is the rest of the site itself. If the homepage is cluttered with ads and pop-ups, the organization behind the news items might not be a credible one. Finally, look to the domain name. As discussed before, a .gov or .edu domain name can be a signal that you have found a credible internet source. However, sometimes fake news sites can create domain names that look similar to legitimate sources. If the domain name includes a .co or .lo at the end of the name of a respected publication or web resource, be aware that you may be on a fake news site. Here's an example of a credible news resource, the NPR website, including information about the organization and its mission. Below this on the same page, it includes statistics of its listenership and citations to back up this information. This type of transparency would be a good sign when evaluating a news or web resource. Read beyond. One thing that the creators of fake news don't want you to do is read beyond the headline. It seems simple enough, but another reason fake news can be shared so widely is because people will only read the headline and assume that they have learned all of the information that the article has to offer. Fake news creators create provocative and emotionally charged headlines, banking on this phenomena, knowing that they can get a reaction out of some readers. Reaction equals action, either by sharing the article on their personal social media or spreading the disinformation by word of mouth. So by simply reading the entire article, you can decide for yourself if the story matches the crazy headline, or if they are just trying to get a reaction out of people. Another simple way to combat fake news is to follow the article to the news site. As discussed before, you can tell a lot about a news article by investigating its source. If you only read the article on a third-party site, such as a social media page or a Google result, you are preventing yourself from gathering valuable information about the news article. Check the author. Checking the credentials of the author is another fast way to determine the validity of a news piece. Has the author produced other work for credible news sources, or have they only created articles that seem suspicious to you? Sometimes the authors listed may not even be a real person. They claim to be, but when you do a bit of digging, you can't find any information about them anywhere but the site where you first found them. That should be a red flag for you. In other cases, there may not be an author listed, or they may be claimed by anonymous. A lack of an author is not always a bad sign. Our Yellowstone National Park website lacked an author after all. However, that resource included many other indicators of its credibility. If you are already questioning the validity of a news source and no authors are listed on any of the articles, that should add to your suspicions. Supporting sources. If an article has links within the text that claim to be supporting sources, always check those links out. Sometimes articles can link to things such as studies and statistics that they claim support their arguments, but when you click on them, they actually do not, or they are misinterpreting the results. Fake news creators want the appearance of supporting sources, but hope that readers will be satisfied merely by the existence of the link and not follow or read the linked material. And of course, sometimes those links will lead to other fake news sources. You don't have to rely on the information that the news article links to for supporting sources. If you find information that you think is unlikely to be true, branch out to other news sites. If no other articles can be found on the topic, you should be suspicious of the original news article. Check the date. It is easy for someone to share or retweet an article headline and have it seem as though it is a current event. However, if you do a little bit of digging, sometimes you can see that the actual article is from years ago and has nothing to do with the present day. This is easily done with photographs as well, as most of these are undated. If you think that a photograph has been incorrectly reposted to support a current event article, using Google reverse image search can be a quick way to discover this deception. Is it a joke? Sometimes readers can be tricked by material that is meant to be satire. If the website is wildly outlandish, checking the About Us section can help you determine if the site is for comedic purposes. Again, even simply reading the article itself can sometimes show that the piece is meant to be satire. I have two examples of headlines from The Onion, a satirical news website. This first example shows an article headline that is obviously fake, one that most people would not believe at a first glance. However, the second one sounds less outrageous. If someone did not know what The Onion was and only read this, they could believe this headline. However, if you read even a few sentences into the article yourself, it is easily apparent that it is satire. Again, the best way to combat fake news is to actually read it and research the claims. Check your biases. This can be one of the hardest things to do when combating fake news. Fake news creators know that people have implicit biases and try to play into those biases. If you do not know your own biases, you will not know when they are being used against you. Try to keep your own beliefs in mind when doing research on current event topics, especially one that is politically oriented. Try to perform research on sites which not only agree with your beliefs, but ones from neutral and opposite ideological political spectrums. These examples of confirmation bias are very easy traps to fall into. If you are actively trying to keep your confirmation bias in check, it is easier for you to find objective information about your topic. Ask the experts. Finally, if you are not sure about a source, ask the experts. All of the librarians at the John J. Wright Library are happy to help when determining the validity of a news source. We are also available to point you in the direction of credible news sources. Fact-checking sites are also a way for you to ask the experts. This list is just some examples of sites whose main mission is to fact-check statements and claims made by various news sites and public figures. Both factcheck.org and PolitiFact focus on political issues, while Snopes focuses on internet claims and urban legends. Now that you have some ideas on how you can identify fake news, I will share some resources that you can check out for more information. This list of resources, as well as the rest of the information from this presentation, will be available to you on our Evaluating Resources handout. The first resource is an article I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, the factcheck.org article titled How to Spot Fake News. It covers much of what we went over today and includes links to examples of the types of deception we highlighted. They also include a link to Snopes, which covers a list of known fake news sites. The second resource is a fake news checklist created by CQ Researcher, one of the databases we have at the library. This is a handy checklist to help you determine if a news article you are reading is fake news. The third resource is a research guide from the Eastern Washington University Library. It includes a list of links to fact-checking websites, as well as a fake news checklist from a New York Public Radio show on the media. Finally, our last resource is a fake news LibGuide from Illinois State University's Milner Library. This LibGuide includes a lot of great resources to help you understand and combat fake news, and is updated frequently. Thank you very much for your time today. If you have any questions on evaluating internet resources or would like help with your research, please feel free to contact me at alyssa.yanello@laroche.edu. Thank you and have a wonderful day.